Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today's webinar is being brought to you by Goose Digital, and we will focus on how to quote and bind faster with intelligent lead management. The agenda for today is we're going to start with some brief introductions, then we're going to talk about the evolution of marketing automation use cases specifically for the insurance industry, insurance business drivers of marketing automation. We'll discuss some of the top challenges that we see brokers facing today, reasons to develop your lead management processes digitally, and then we'll do a demonstration. And the demonstration will be a high-level view on qualifying, scoring, and routing your leads. That will be followed up by some Q&A. So as you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to drop them into the question section in the control panel. At the end of the presentation, we'll try and get to as many as possible. And any questions that we're not able to get to during the webinar, someone from Goose Digital will respond directly as soon as possible. As a reminder to everybody on today's webinar, everyone will receive a recording of this webinar within the next few days. So let's get started with the introductions. I'm Robin Kroll, and I lead the Data and Insights practice here at Goose Digital, and I'll be your moderator today. I'm joined by my colleagues Jen Punsley, who is our VP Customer Success, and Mark Finnegan, who is the Marketing Programs Manager here at Goose. I'm going to hand off the controls to Jen and Mark, who will take you through our presentation.
Thank you, Robin. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining. This is now our fourth webinar focusing on the broker vertical and how to use marketing automation in various strategies. First, a bit about Goose. Goose Digital is Canada's leading marketing automation agency. Our expertise spans across the world's best marketing automation platforms, helping brokers, carriers, and MGAs strategically plan and execute profitable digital marketing. We believe that the marketing automation platform is at the center of all modern marketing departments and is fundamental to executing a successful digital marketing strategy. We're a full-service digital agency with a insurance practice for about 5 years now. I personally have been a broker for over 15 years and transitioned my career to digital back in 2012. So this is some of our involvement over the years. We see this participation very important for our continued learning, gathering information on trends for our customers, and not to mention that we do love how much fun this industry likes to have, particularly at events, and we're certainly missing being able to meet up with everyone this year. Hopefully we get to resume that sometime in the future. So it's no secret that marketing has evolved thanks to the digital revolution that's been underway for more than a decade. Marketing's ability to impact and influence audiences across all areas of the business is at an all-time high. So what that actually means is that marketing has the tools to reach and address leads and customers across the entire buying journey. In other words, from initial awareness of your company, products and services, to an active sales opportunity through to in-life customer communications. When it comes to capturing, managing, and nurturing leads today within this industry, the sophistication levels and technology greatly differ across the organizations that we talk to. For some brokers, leads may be handled very manually and mostly an offline approach, whereas some providers, they're operating more of a call center environment with certain product lines, so new lead management technology or tactics may not be so foreign to those organizations. So in today's webinar, we're going to discuss some of those things and show you a few high-level digital strategies that you can implement today that will give you a bigger advantage of how you may be operating currently. So as I mentioned a few slides back, at the center of all modern marketing departments are marketing automation platforms that will enable you to power holistic lead generation and customer marketing strategies. So Goose Digital has spent about 5 years utilizing and productizing the core feature functions of these types of platforms, specifically for the insurance industry. This was really born out of our insurance background and a true passion to use this type of technology to increase profitability, augment product and efficiencies within certain departments in an industry that traditionally struggles with innovation in these areas. So as a little bit of a refresher, I'm going to touch on some of the key business drivers for marketing automation broadly first. So over on the left-hand side, we've got sales, lead generation, things like focusing on lead quality through targeting, lead capture, qualifying and scoring leads as part of lead management, and that's going to be our topic for today. Over on the right-hand side, we expand into customer communications and touch points throughout the customer lifecycle. These can be designed to flow with your current service timeline that you may have built for your brokerage already. For example, new customer notices, renewal campaigns, cross-sell or upsells of applicable product lines, things like critical bulletins, claims notifications, etc. Or maybe times where you need to confirm information with your customer via forms or landing pages. Then and down into the center, we have reporting and insights. For some or lots of companies, this is actually a top driver. Without these types of platforms, it's actually very difficult to pull together and connect data from all different sources in order to provide a lot of times multi-purpose reporting that many of your different departments are going to need to understand what's working, what's not working, and where do we invest more dollars. So marketing automation platforms principally were always built to handle leads in all of those various paths. It was the later years that they expanded across the entire customer journey. Still, as a whole, leads are a priority, with 66% of organizations are saying their goal was to improve the lead nurturing process as part of their plans. Nurturing is obviously an intricate part of the journey, but it doesn't actually start there. So targeting to attract the right audience, further qualifying to sift the good leads from the bad leads, and capturing the status of those leads are all vital steps within the journey that will then enable you to get to a point where you can nurture the right type of leads to close those into customers. So talking with several brokers a month, challenges within this industry are still very prevalent. With that said, all companies are keen on kind of getting back to business here, and now is a really good time to take a look at some of these areas. Focusing on new business for this webinar, handling leads is far more complex today than it was even back in 2012 when I joined the digital world. Like always, leads are not created equal. And shouldn't be treated as such. In an offline world, though, some of the lead process may have been easier. It seems like that volume was a focus not that long ago, so it was sort of like, get us more leads was the notion that everybody wanted. Whereas in our digital world today, there are far greater challenges with regards to things like targeting for quality, further vetting and qualifying, routing to different branches or departments, and capturing much needed lead status for reporting and optimization. For some brokers and companies, they're driving several hundred leads per month, and these fundamental things have become a major challenge, and not to mention very, very expensive. If you're operating quote and bind or e-commerce tools as part of your entire process, there's even more aspects to consider. So simply put, as a whole, driving leads digitally spans across lead generation and targeting, management of those leads, and then nurturing those leads to close. Our demo for today is about showing you parts of the lead management process and how you can build and automate some of those steps. Overall, though, when assessing or implementing a strategy for your leads, there are two things that you can start out with when setting yourself up for success. And before you start to wire things up in your platforms. First, start with building a journey map for your lead flow. This should capture a journey of how you're currently operating your leads today and and how you envision it working better in the future. This will likely, you'll likely encounter new flows, both online and offline, that you're going to have to incorporate into your new journey. And number two, you need a way to capture the status of these leads that you're generating and handling. You can do this in your BMS, whether that BMS is integrated or not integrated. You can capture that in your CRM. So some of these marketing automation platforms have built-in CRMs, or something very simple like tracked on an Excel sheet with a workflow. But either way, it's vital to the program to know what is happening with the leads, both for sales, but also for your marketing department in order for them to optimize. So in the examples that Mark is going to show you today, they'll likely be built or optimized on the back of the data that you collect at these steps. These two steps are going to enable you to report on ROI, optimize your ads. It's going to help you understand where you need to make changes within your process. So this means things like your landing pages, forms, your quote and bind tools, maybe your queuing system. And lastly, it'll help you focus on your ideal personas and buyers. So I'm going to turn this over to Mark Finnegan for our demo. He is going to show you some really simple tactics that will enable you to get started. Keep in mind a few things. Obviously, this is a very big topic and a lot to cover in 30 minutes. So we're going to show you two scenarios using personal lines auto. And the focus today is really on the feature functions, not the design or creative. We've simply mocked up these pages for the purpose of today's demo. And lastly, a lot of your strategy and whatever you're going to drum up is going to look totally unique to your business. This is all very easy to manipulate, doesn't require hard coding or special customizations. So take it away, Mark.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks, Jen, and good afternoon, everyone. So as Jen mentioned in this demo, I'm going to walk you through some marketing automation steps you can add to your digital marketing processes that'll enable you to quote and bind faster with intelligent lead management. So the two key examples that Jen mentioned that I'm going to walk you through are, the first one, really the landing pages and forms that you should really be driving your leads to, and especially with the forms, how to utilize qualifying questions within them. And then the second one that I'll get into later in the demonstration is nurturing leads that didn't bind roughly a year later so that they don't go to waste. So on my screen here, what you can see is a simple landing page that we've put together. As Jen mentioned, this one is really tailored to auto, but everything that I'm going to walk you through is fundamentally will work for commercial or personal lines. So you don't have to worry about that. This is just designed for personal lines for this demonstration. So you really want to make sure that the landing page obviously really aligns with your brand and then has clear messaging. You also want to make sure that you have a lot of trust building content across the page. So here you can see we have some information around bundling and saving, continuous history, being conviction free, having some quick frequently asked questions at the bottom here. And some other elements that you can incorporate as well are obviously any kind of testimonials or reviews that you might have from customers as well. Those will all add credibility to your landing pages and will help with your conversion rates. The next thing you want to have is really strong call to actions. So in this case, we have two here, and we're really asking for them to request a quote. What we do want to mention, though, is that what we've been seeing a lot lately is that bare bone landing pages and e-commerce funnels that do not have enough trust building are less likely to convert. And that's something that we just want you to be aware of. So I'll start to fill out this form so you can see exactly how these smart forms and qualifying questions work. I'll just start to put in my information. And then the next thing you'll see here is the first question. So are you looking for auto insurance? So if I start with no, you can see the form hasn't changed at all. Now, if I select the option yes, what you can see is the 4 qualifying questions that we have actually become available. So let's go through these qualifying questions. So the first one is, have you recently been canceled for non-payment? So I'm going to say no to this one. The next one, do you have more than 3 major traffic violations or convictions? So I'm going to say no to that one as well. And then the third question, have you had any at-fault accidents or claims in the last 6 years? I'm going to say no to that one as well. And then, have you had any driver's license or permit cancellations in the last 6 years? So I'm going to say no to that one as well. And you can have as many qualifying questions as you want. The point is to really capture the information that is really vital to you, and then score those questions, which we'll get into in a bit. If you are working currently with an e-commerce tool, consider using a branded form like this, as we're showing you here, because this will help with the lead quality. This can also be integrated with your VMS or your CRM as well, and that'll help get those leads into those platforms directly. But that's not absolutely necessary either. So I'll go ahead and submit this now. And what you want to make sure after a submission is that you have some sort of thank you message come up. But in addition to that, what you really want to make sure is that you're getting out a confirmation email to the lead as well. So if I jump into what the confirmation email could look like, some things to really take into consideration are just being really clear in the email that you're sending to the recipient of why they're receiving it. So here you can see this is for Eddie. We're saying thank you for requesting a quote here. And then we're giving him some clear and concise information about our business hours and when he can expect to get a response from us. So in this case, we've mentioned Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But if he's requested a quote outside of this time, that we'll be in touch with him shortly. Alternatively to that, what you can also do is use a call to action like schedule a call, which can be actually connected to your CSR's calendars and integrated with tools such as Calendly, so you make it as convenient as possible for the lead as well. And you can also set up these types of emails in very simple, like automated programs, so that they can get these reminders if the quote is valid for, let's say, 30 days. So the next thing that I wanted to show you is that the alert that you can actually send out as well. So whenever a form submission alert is actually done, the form submission alert can actually go out to your sales team. So this is an example of what would go on behind the scenes as well. And if you're using a phone or queuing system, the leads can be distributed this way as well. It just requires the email address that you would want for it to go to. So if you're looking at the bottom of this form submission alert here, you can see actually a lead score of 40. And what's essentially happening here right now is we're evaluating each question that was asked before. So the cancel for non-payment, the 3 traffic violations, etc. And all 4 of those responses got me to a score of 40. Now, if I'd answered yes to any of these questions, my score could have been 30 or 20 or less. And what you can actually do with that information is once you have it inside of your marketing automation platform, you can start to actually segment by those scores. So you can see here, I'm breaking it down into 3 different segments here: high priority leads, medium priority leads, low priority leads. And so what that actually allows you to do is a few different things, and it really comes down to kind of prioritizing and routing your leads. So let's say you had a high risk market. What you could do is send all the low priority leads to your high risk market. Now, if you didn't have a high risk market like department, what you could do is automate a program that says, okay, because they're too low of a behavior score, we're not interested in these leads, so we're going to just automate a message telling them that we're unfortunately not interested in their business. But this also then allows you to easily prioritize the leads with really great lead scores, and then the ones that maybe have the medium priority scores as well. Now keep in mind, you can add as many scoring rules as you want. These are just a few examples, but this really just helps you kind of prioritize and make sure that you're on top of the leads that you do really want. And that's the important thing to take into consideration when you're building one of these programs. The other thing that I wanted to mention is you would need to get this information out of your BMS. That's really the important thing as well. So that kind of concludes the first example. So I'll jump now into how you would actually nurture these leads that didn't bind. So depending on your conversion numbers, you could have anywhere from, let's say, 60 to 80% of the leads that you're generating not converting, and that could be for a wide range of reasons. But that doesn't mean that the lead is completely lost forever. So in this particular example, the leads are likely like ones that have gotten a quote but did not purchase. And you could also have something similar running for like an abandoned quote stream that would be handled differently than this one. So what you would want to do in this particular example is start to set up an automated program to follow up with leads, let's say 300 days after they originally requested a quote from you. So you might be asking, well, why 300 days? And we're estimating that should roughly be 60 to 70 days ahead of their renewal with another provider. And it really gives you time to highlight your new offer and nurture this lead again. So how would you actually go about doing this? So the first step would really be setting up a segment to capture them. So in this case, I have one here. So it's leads generated 300 days ago and they did not bind. And how you would actually go and create a segment like this inside of your marketing automation platform, I'll show you. So you can see here it's 4 fields. So this is all data that you would have either from the back end of your form submissions or that you would be able to pull out of your broker management system or CRM. Again, you don't have to worry about an integration if that was a concern to you. This data could be manually pulled and be brought back into your marketing automation platform manually. So the first field here is quote request date. So we're just looking at that, making sure that it was at least 300 days ago. We don't want them to have a policy number, obviously. Their status still remains at quote. And another one that we have here is as the lead score of greater than 29. So we want to make sure that it's good leads that we would be following up with that we had in the past that we lost. But you could set this up for other programs as well. So that's the main criteria that you would really want, is just bringing in this information of the quote status from your BMS. And then once you have this kind of segment and this information on those leads, what you can do is start to build an automated program for them. So if you take a look at the program I've set up here, the first step would really be wait until the contact's in that segment that I just showed you. Once they're in that segment, we would send them an email to offer to quote them again. So I'll show you what that email actually looks like shortly. We're going to give them 2 days to do something with this email, whether it's open it or engage with our call to action. So if the lead opened the email but did not click the call to action or email, what we're going to do is then send an alert to our customer service rep team to follow up with that lead manually by phone or email. Now, if the lead did not open the email, what we're going to do is send them that exact same email, but with a new subject title. And then we'll give them a couple days again. And then if they did not click on that call to action that we want for them to request a new quote, we'll then send another alert to our CSR team to follow up with this lead manually by phone or email. So you can see this is actually a very simple program, and this is just one of many that you could set up. It easily can be set up in 20 to 30 minutes, which is great. Really, the crucial things here are just making sure that you have the segment built out that you can feed into a program like this. And then the next thing, of course, is making sure that you have your emails built out for that program as well. So here's an example of an email that would be in this program. So you can see the lead again that had come in was Eddie. Eddie last year requested a quote for auto insurance. So this is all dynamically being brought in. You may recognize this if you've seen any of our previous webinars. Is the dynamic and personalized content that you can use within these marketing automation platforms. And so you can see the image is tailored towards Eddie as well. So if I switch it to another customer, let's say Renata, you can see Renata a year ago requested a quote for home insurance. And you can see now the image is tailored to her as well. You can see a couple call to actions that we have here. So we're offering to Renata the ability to schedule a call or call me now if she is ready immediately. And again, it's just giving the lead options to make it as convenient as possible for them and make it more likely for them to convert. The next thing that you'll see here is that we're also bringing in the CSR information of who she previously dealt with, which will help her recognize who it came from previously and determine whether or not if she wants to proceed with that. So if I switch it to another customer, or sorry, another lead, let's look at Robin. You can see it's now tailored to Robin and the CSR that she previously dealt with as well. So again, it's just about bringing this information from your BMS or your CRM, but an integration isn't required for that. So the last thing I really want to just mention is in an upcoming webinar, we will also show what the rep reporting capabilities are. We have done that in the past as well, but you can easily pull all the information out of your marketing automation platforms that you're looking to get all that necessary information. And then it's just a matter of getting certain things like the quote status out of your BMS. To summarize, so these are really just a couple examples of how you can quote and bind faster with intelligent lead management through marketing automation. But if you have your own ideas and you're not exactly sure how to execute them with your own marketing automation platform, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you with that. So I'll now turn it back over to Robin to bring up any questions that might have been asked.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Jen, for a lot of great information. We do have a few questions that have come in, so we're going to be able to get to a few of them. So I think the first question, Jen, looks like it'll be for you. The question is, can you get started with a marketing automation platform without having a CRM or a BMS integrated?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, so you don't need a CRM or integrated BMS to start with improving your processes. What's important, and I kind of touched on this before, was that what's important is capturing the lead status. So those are things like simple things like qualified or unqualified, quoted not bound, or price too high, or whatever those status at that point is. But it's also a good idea to gather attributes of your good leads and your poor leads. These attributes will enable your marketing team to optimize your campaigns to greatly improve lead quality and targeting. So not a must-have, but you need a process or a workflow to capture status.
Great, thank you, Jen. Okay, so next question is, all of our personal lines leads are directed to our e-commerce tool. We're struggling with lead quality. In the demo, you mentioned that you can incorporate quote and bind tools in this process. Can you explain this a little bit more? So I'm not sure, Jen or Mark, who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I can take that one again. So we're involved in this scenario fairly often. So what you can do is leverage the landing pages and forms within your marketing automation platform and email. So for example, in the submission email that Mark showed, if you're working with an e-commerce tool, you might want to pull in all coverage, all premium, how long the quote is good for, and a very quick way to pick it up and retrieve it and bind it. But between landing pages, forms, and emails, you can strategically position these pages. They can look identical and feel identical to your e-commerce tool, but you can position the user experience to intercept at different stages of your funnel. You can do this all day long, which will enable you to be agile with changes and not necessarily incur expensive development costs. A lot of our companies that we work with don't have direct control over making development changes to their rating tool because they don't have in-house capabilities or it's with a third party. So big bonus about marketing automation platforms is you can do those customizations that don't really require a lot of coding expertise, and at the very least you can A/B test different flows and different routes to improve your lead quality.
Okay, great. I think we can squeeze in one last question. Mark, this one's for you. In the demo, you mentioned that you can integrate with a phone system. Maybe you can just briefly elaborate on that before we close off today.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the form submission alerts, what we've seen with a lot of our customers do is they'll have like a phone or queuing system, and all those phone or queuing systems really need is the ability to receive an email. So if they have an email address, we can simply submit that form submission to those, and then the queuing system can evenly distribute that that lead or leads, I should say, to your team. And if you had multiple departments and you're doing it based on scoring, you could easily have it go out based off of multiple email addresses as well.
Great, thank you. Well, I think that's all the time we have today. So if we didn't get to your question, someone from Goose Digital will be following up with you directly. Again, a copy of the webinar recording will be sent to all participants in the next couple of days. So thank you again on behalf of myself, Mark, and Jen for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.